An all-star action is being willing to stay with your installers even when it's inconvenient for your schedule. Now, some people will be like, well, I can't make it to the morning. Okay, but we have technology now. I can load up Zoom or load up FaceTime and physically be face-to-face with my installers, even if I'm on vacation right now. Now, I'm not saying you have to work on vacation, but I'm saying you could be far removed, very remote, and still be able to ensure that your installing team has everything they need on a customer service level to just wow the socks off their customer. So go for it.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to yet another episode 300, Joe. I can't even believe this. Another episode of Electripreneur Secrets, the Electricians Podcast. I'm your host, Clay Newmeyer. With me, as always, my esteemed co-host, Joseph Lucani, and we are the Electripreneurs. Just a couple of master electricians with business addictions here and ready to serve. Welcome to our freemium daily coach call. And today's an exciting one. I'm really pumped about this because we talk about sales a lot. We don't talk about, actually following through on those sales a lot, but you see it. You see the people post this even when they're, big sales. The next comment down's always like, oh yeah, let's see you install it though. Let's see you get through that congruent to your premium service process. But we're going to talk about that today. But first, Joe, did I already say this is episode 300?
That you did. And literally, I couldn't be prouder. And the only reason is that I want to do what we teach, which is being present over perfect. Obviously, I'm sure there's been a couple episodes that we haven't been overly proud of, but the thing is, we always show up every single day. And I'm grateful I've done it 300 times in a row.
Me too. I don't quite have the physique of Gerard Butler, but that's my favorite version of the movie 300. And I'm feeling a little bit like yelling Sparta into the mic right now.
Only if it means you get to kick a Persian into the well.
Into the well of, did they call that the well of doom?
I don't know the exact name of it, but it's a giant hole that people were kicked into. So could have been anything at that point.
It looked deep. Hormozy's Persian. I just learned that the other day. So kind of like kicking Hormozy into the well of doom and yelling Sparta.
He's a giant, and I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to pull that off.
That would be like one of those front kicks where you land on your back after.
Yeah, it makes sense.
At least I would, anyway. Oh man, at least we can still have fun, right? So Joe was just, before we started the show, just so you guys know, stay personal here for a moment. Joe was just telling me he's about to come up to Canada. We've got a toque ready for him and a plaid shirt already, but he insisted that I have some maple cookies, like a cupboard full for him when he arrives, because ours are made in Quebec with legit maple syrup. It's the real deal.
I think you said it wrong. It's not I want a cabinet full. I want an actual pallet with a dolly that I have to literally crank and wheel, and I want it saran wrapped taller than I am. That's what I'm looking to deliver.
That's how we're going to keep you motivated, man. I got a spot over here. I'm just going to toss a cookie every time you need a little pep. You'll have
easiest 36-hour shift worked. Keep it going with maple sugar syrup.
That is easy, actually. I've had to motivate some people for a 21-hour shift before. That's not easy. Maple cookies would help. They would help. All right, brother. Should we get down to some good stuff that might help some electripreneurs today?
Let's do
Outside of, hey, fully acknowledging that if you haven't had a maple cookie, you should. That might help you today, too. How to set your installers up to sell again, to shine like you intend, to maintain this premium service identity like we're all trying to set up. And why would we want to set that up? Just to remind you, there's a couple reasons. One's differentiation. Path of least resistance, that's easy. Serve at the low level, that's easy. Take a shortcut, speed out of here, get it done, get out of awkward, just leave, that's easy. Sticking around, doing the hard things, serving at the highest level, charging a premium for it, offering the 6 options, all of this is what takes a bit of work. But here's why it is still easy. Because you can do it. Because you can do it. That's something I'm borrowing from Jim Rohn. I love Jim. You guys know that, right?
Yeah. It's pretty.
Jim Rohn used to
say,
yeah, man, he used to say, it's easy because you can do it. You've got to work hard at it, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. There's a lot of people in a lot harder places, right? You can do this. So how do we go from that place, sell a big job, say you offer 6 options, someone takes a platinum, now we've got this process of like, oh crap, how do I get this to the installers in a way
Mm-hmm.
that's conducive to their progress and congruence with our brand? And Joe, I know you're going to help with this. So why don't you jump in here now and
I'm
start to
ready.
answer this for me?
Happy to help. So there's three things that need to happen. But before we even get to that, we need to make sure that we know why the gap is even existing. Because if we don't know why the gap's there, crossing it doesn't really make sense. So the biggest disconnect is that you, the salesperson, or whatever person was that sold this job, had a relationship because you sold on an emotional and personal level. You were someone they liked, trusted, and respected. And as a result, they're like, you were the person I'm choosing to invest in. Now, the biggest disconnect, though, is that that person is often not the one who has to install the work. So, what ends up happening is I built a relationship with this person and had this expectation based on our demeanor. But then another person or other persons arrive, and I have to create an entire new relationship and figure out if I want these individuals and I trust these individuals to do the best job like expected and like I was sold. So there's this constant duality that we're battling over. Does the salesperson get more involved, or do the salespeople have to be present on the job, or what kind of handoff is there? We actually thought of an easier way, and it's something that we did in my company, which was something known as a work order handoff process. And really, what it's doing is you're transferring the relationship that the salesperson created and making sure that everyone else who goes into the home understands these three main categories. What are we physically doing? Who are we doing it for? And why are we doing it? So, why does this matter? So, let's take another good abstract example. One I like to use a lot is surge protectors. Okay, you're going to say I'm putting in a surge protector. Makes sense. Great, go
Mhm.
for it. But how do you make it relative? Like, how can I go in and say, yeah, I'm here to do a surge protector? Not a lot of connection point. So let's go further. Instead, I'm going to say we're doing a surge protector, or I like to use electronics protection system, and we're doing it for Pete. Why are we doing it for Pete? Pete is a retro gamer collector, and he has a large collection of expensive and really hard to acquire systems. It's hard. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you may have a Sega Genesis in your attic, but does it still turn on? That's the hard thing. So when you have equipment that literally cannot be replaced, that's an emotional concern. You have someone with a very big hobby that wants to do something, you'd want to be able to speak to that concern as the installer. So imagine the installer shows up and there's two people. The first says, hi, John. Okay, cool. Let's look at the work order and make sure we know what we're doing. It looks like we're putting in a surge protector. Great. Which way is the panel? That's experience one. Experience two is, hey, John, I'm Joe with Service Electrical. Really looking forward to meeting you. I want to say Clay said some really great things. So I just want to do a quick review while we're here to make sure that everything is set to succeed. So let's take a look here. I see that we're doing an electronics protection system, and ideally, this is going to be for you. Now, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm under the impression that you have a pretty extensive gaming collection that you're looking to protect. Can you tell me a little bit about that? It's like, okay, cool, let's go into it. Now, if nothing else, I don't feel like there's a stranger here.
Yeah.
And if I don't think I have a stranger, that relationship that I originally built now can be transferred to the person I'm working with.
Yeah.
Follow so
I
far?
feel yeah, man, totally, totally. Pete sounded more and more like a real guy with all that video game collections. I'm gonna have to
Mm-hmm.
meet this Pete guy because I've got Atari games and stuff too. But that said, it seems like even the bigger the company gets, the more and more reliant they tend to get on this price book, and the more
Mm-hmm.
and more reliant the installer becomes on that price book and the output of it as well to just kind of read the line items and go, oh, okay, like you said, oh, there's surge protection. We're going to install a new fan. We got a new circuit over here. But they then have to rely on their own skills, which may or may not even be trained to communicate what they don't have, which is kind of
Mm-hmm.
annoying from a customer standpoint. In fact, confidence goes down. And I've experienced this with multiple trades in my own home,
Mm-hmm.
right? Gas lines run in the place I didn't ask for it to be run because the notes didn't make it to my file. So when the installer showed all that kind of stuff, right? I
Mm-hmm.
know you guys have felt this too. So everything about this is about making sure that you've got that covered as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just setting your people up for success and how that adds up to then help you sell again. is, well, we've got another process, the install upgrade process. And that's just a collective moment where your installer is able to be so well educated on that sales transaction and exchange and all the conversations already with what Joe said, the what, who, and the why, that they can literally address the options that were presented as well, and literally have another shot at moving this exchange up the ladder, which is profound. You could not do that if you didn't have that who and the why.
I completely agree.
The what's not enough, man. The what is not enough. I would venture a guess.
Okay.
Now, I'm going
entertaining
out
it.
on a limb here.
Okay. What you got?
That very few people have an installer training regimen.
You'd be correct in that. And for those of you in the background that are ready to crucify us for it, let me explain what I mean. You're probably training your install on how to collect the balance, on how to do the physical work, and how to say just enough to get into where they got to be. And that's okay. That's a good base level. I'm not knocking you for that. But imagine that you purchased a top tier solution and you were assured by the person who sold it to you that you would have an amazing experience. And you're going to put that entire premium experience on the least trained in customer service position in your entire company. It doesn't add up. It's not a recipe for success. I've literally sold platinum options and had my installers drop the ball. And now I've got to talk my way out of a horrible situation because something was said that wasn't supposed to be. I get it. And, the ball falls back on me for not training enough. So I want to teach you things that could definitely move your needle today. If your team understands who they're doing it for and why they're doing it, it is far more impactful than just the what.
Love it. Can I ask a deeper question of you?
Go for it.
What would that handoff look like? Was there a time of day where you'd go from a sale to installer to communicate this and pass off that work order? What did that look like for you, brother?
So personally, I always like doing it first thing of the day, meaning that like everyone has usually like a huddle of some sort, but I would make it the very first thing. So we'd be at the shop. I mean, theoretically, everyone's supposed to be there at 7, and then 7:15 on the dot, we are in the round room and we're going and making sure that we have our morning huddle. In that morning huddle, what we would do is we'd review the scope of the day because I was selling for multiple teams. So it'd be like, all right, team 1, this is what we're working on. Let's review what's going to happen. Let's make sure you understand you have all the material you need. You got the material. Great. You know where you're going. Great. You know who you're doing it for. Great. Now let's get into the why and the who. And I'd go through each individual options. And then we'd also do the install upgrade process training. Then I'd go to crew 2, do the same thing, then go to crew 3. Each individual, before I transition, do you have any questions? Are there any concerns? Anything I need to know about? Do you need any additional support? No? You have my blessings. Go. Next person. Same thing in each individual crew. Once all crews are done and I've seen them out the door, then I go to my next calls.
Nice, man. Really some like proactive quality management built into this too.
Mm-hmm.
I can see this helping so many people, you guys, and ultimately, what I want to say, Joe, is very deep and inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
You, sir, have earned a box of maple cookies when you come north of the border to Canada. No, this is going to really help, guys. Again, just don't leave it at the what. Really summarizing this, right? Grab the who and the why. That should be part of your process anyway. I think we've talked about the 4 whats of observations before. This is already information we're collecting in our sales process. So all we're asking is for you guys to go the extra mile here, empower your entire brand. Because imagine from the point someone calls you, having a process like our Brighter Day call process that sets your tech up like a 10, to go out there, prove they're a 10, offer 6 options, complete level of investment options for these clients who then choose whatever option fits them. And then you're able to follow up, and the installer again meets the expectations of this premium level service. And then the happy call right after. I mean, this complete loop, doesn't that make you want to buy again? Doesn't that make you want to stick with a company for a while, Joe?
Realistically, even if it doesn't make them want to buy again, it makes them want to stay in the network. Because if someone stays in the network, they can still refer to and they still refer from. So it means that whether they could come back themselves, as long as they had a good experience, every person we serve at a 5-star level becomes a company advocate.
Love it, man. Love it. I'm seeing some comments in the chat, you guys. Thanks for engaging live with us. They have a unique sales angle, is one thing I'm reading. Guys, here's the unique angle. Get rid of the word sales. Step up and serve at the highest level and watch what happens to today's pocket. It's crazy how much serving for the future can impact today anyways. That's how Joe did it. That's what this process entirely based on. I want to thank you guys for joining us, though. And Joe, if we had to crank out a couple of action items today, maybe a basic and an all-star, where would you start with the basic, brother?
The basic is the what, but not calling it by the trade term, but by calling it the verbally packaged term. So let's go back to Surge Protector. The language that the technician is talked to is the language they will talk with. So if I were to say, we're installing a surge protector, when they go to the customer, they're going to say, we're installing a surge protector, because that's the common company language. It's our company culture. But if I were to shift it and say, we're installing an electronics protection system, and they're only hearing it in those terms consistently, then how will they then talk to their customer? They're going to be like, it looks like we're installing an electronics protection system. The benefit behind this is that if I sold it as an electronics protection system and they're like, yeah, we're throwing in a surge protector, value has gone down. But by doing it in the same language, value stays consistent. And it shows we're all on the same team.
All right, man. You got an all-star for us too?
Yeah. An all-star action is being willing to stay with your installers, even when it's inconvenient for your schedule. Now, some people will be like, well, I can't make it to the morning. Okay. But we have technology now. I could literally take my phone out and I can load up Zoom or load up FaceTime and physically be face-to-face with my installers, even if I'm on vacation right now. Now, I'm not saying you have to work on vacation, but I'm saying you could be far removed, very remote, and still be able to ensure that your installing team has everything they need on a customer service level to just wow the socks off their customer. So go for it.
Really nice touch, man. Nice touch. Guys, this has been another episode 300. I never did the Sparta in the mic, but you guys get it. We've seen that, right? Picture a front kick. That's what's happening right now. This has been another effort to help you master your sales, simplify your pricing, and deliver premium level electrical service. Take everything we give. Just promise to take action, you guys. We're going to be back here in a week for another live episode. Man, it's been busy. Right? I love these live episodes so much. We went from 5 days a week to just a weekly while we build this academy out. It has been so incredible. And that academy is launching next week, guys. If you want any more information about us, you can see down on the banner below, either live on Facebook or if you're on YouTube, serviceloopelectrical.com is the place to be, or on our Facebook page, Electricpreneur Secrets. We'll see you there and we'll see you next week. Cheers, you guys.
Can't wait to see you soon. Be well.